my head.
Hello, it's Friday, and as usual, here goes your Friday video. So today it's all about being perfect in weakness. And you probably be like, Simone, what is so great about being perfect in weakness? Nobody like to talk about their weakness. Nobody like to say how weak they are or the things that they're struggling with or the things that they're suffering with. No, nobody don't like to talk about that. Nevertheless, God is made perfect in our weakness. So 2 Corinthians 12 verse 10 says, when I am weak, then I am strong. So when I am weak, then I am strong. Okay, Simone, I am weak, but yet still I'm strong. Where is that coming from? The strength of the Lord, of course. Because when we are weak, we can pour out our heart to God. We can pour out everything we have, especially when we're doing things for God. You find out that you may feel like you just can't make it. It's like, I just can't make it. You try to read your Bible, you try to pray, you try to do your devotion, and yet still it seems as though like you're just falling asleep. And while you keep pushing and pressing and pushing and pressing, you just start getting stronger and stronger. And you're like, hold on. By the time you're finished, the same person who was so exhausted feel like they couldn't even carry on. You could run a marathon. And if you don't believe me, please try it. Go into your prayer closet. Pray. Reach out to God. Press into God. And you will see, especially in your time of weakness, how your strength, you just start getting stronger and just feel more empowered. Get into the word. So God's idea of strength and man's idea of strength are opposite. So again, God idea of strength and man idea of strength is two different strength. It's opposite. The Lord told Paul, my strength is made perfect in weakness. And that's from 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. It says, learning this lesson, Paul could then say, when I am weak, then I am strong. And that is what our verse is for today. 2 Corinthians 12 verse 10. A paradox? Not really. So only when Paul admit his own weakness and was willing to get out of the way could God take over and work. So a lot of times we start saying that, you know what, I can't do this, or I can't carry on, I'm too weak for this, or I feel like I'm going to fail. This is just not going to work out. You know, I'm seeing the issue, I'm seeing the things, and it just looks so big. And God is saying, my daughter, my son, give it to me. I can handle it. And we're like, no, this is just too massive. You know what? I've been carrying around this baggage and this burden. And God is like, again, give it to me. And we still refuse to give it to God. We get so caught up and we get drained and we feel like there is no hope. All is lost. And God's still there saying, give it to me. Until we decide to move out the way. Again, I'll say that. Until you and I, because guess what? She's very guilty of it sometimes. There are certain things I'm like, oh, this is just too petty for God. There is nothing too little and there is nothing too big to go and talk to Abba. Nothing. So once we move out the way, God will be able to move in and strengthen us, be able to move in and take over and do his work. Stop blocking God from doing what he said he will do in your life, what he will do in you and for you. Stop blocking God from it. If we try do God's will in our own strength, again, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm very much guilty of it. We try to do what God said he will do. God said he'll fix the problem, and here we go, trying to be Mr. Fix It and Miss Fix It. And we're doing it in our own strength. And now we're exhausted, we're beaten out, we're like over it. We're at the point of our own self-destruction, and God is like, if only she would just move. If only he would just move out the way and let me work, they wouldn't even have to go through this. They wouldn't even. It says, if we try to do God's will in our own strength, then we take the credit for whatever gets accomplished. But that isn't God's way. When we let his strength work through us, then he alone will get the glory, and that is as it should be. So, we like to just do things, and we probably pray about it, and we don't forget we prayed, and then God answered a prayer, and we feel as though, oh girl, I don't get that done. And God is like, really? The last time I remember, you were on your last breath, looking like you had nowhere or have no clue where to turn next. And you needed me, and you call upon me, and you cry out to me. But then we forget, right? We take all the credit for ourselves and feel like, oh, I did this in my own strength. And God is like, no, you didn't. In the Old Testament, God repeatedly told the leader of Israel to reduce the size of their army. And if you know the story of Gideon, Gideon was going into battle. And Gideon had all these men, over 300,000. And God said, you have too much men. Gideon is like, hold on. And I'm paraphrasing now. This is not in the Bible. But God, what do you mean I have too much men? Do you understand that I'm going to battle? Do you understand that I'm going to war? Who go to war without a whole bunch of army? Without a whole bunch of people ready to engage in the battle? God looked. He said, Gideon, you have too much. All right, God. Some got sent back. Come back. Gideon, you have too much. So the ultimate test was for them to drink water. And those who just sap water like they've never seen water before, God is like, those you need to send back. The ones who were alert and looking around, looking, monitoring, seeing what was going on, even though they were drinking. God said, yeah, these are the ones you need to pick. From over 300,000, remaining 10% of that, about 30,000 men that was left. And they won the battle. So again, God's strength and our strength is two opposite. Again, God's thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are not our ways. Stop boxing up God. Stop limit God, because we serve a limitless God. Or he announced in advance how their victory would be won. Why? So they would place their trust in him and not in their own strength. As someone has said, God's work done in God's way will never lack for God's provision. Ooh, I like that one. Let me read that again. As someone has said, God's work done in God's way will never lack God's provision. So you know I can't let you leave without giving you some assignment, right? So our hope for today, God will for our life will always require God's presence to accomplish it. The next time you feel too weak for what God is calling you to do, just be obedient and watch what happens when God shows up. So, as usual, don't forget to smash that like button, click subscribe, ring the notification bell, and most important, share. The best is yet to come. Love you guys. See you guys next week.